Most things in life are never perfect. If you're successful, they're sort of half perfect and the best you can hope for. But with a jetliner home, there's precious little disadvantage. I never really perceive any downside. That said, it's a salvage jetliner. It was hardly the perfect execution.
Hi, welcome to my airplane home.
My name is Bruce Campbell. I'm 73 years old, and I live in a Boeing 727 jetliner in Hillsboro, a suburb area of Portland, Oregon. I'm an electrical engineer. I'm a classic nerd. I'm a circuit design engineer. I no longer work for income, but I'm as active as ever, as best I can judge. A jetliner home is a different kind of environment. It's a very strong, very long-lived, sealed pressure canister. The design and elegance of the structure is just heads and tails above any conventional home I'm familiar with. And when you live in a structure like this, you feel a little more dignified, you feel a little more fulfilled with your life. And if you're an engineer, or a scientist, or anyone who appreciates the elegance and beauty of aerospace technology, it's just a happier place to live.
This is a futon sofa, and it folds flat for company, and an electric blanket on top. I don't know if I'd be alive right now if it weren't for the electric blanket. It's just a simple futon sofa, but it serves as my bed, and also, especially during the winter, my working surface, because it's warm, and most of my real work is simply on the laptop.
This is a Faraday cage. Radio signals don't penetrate aircraft well. So currently, I just have a cell phone which leans up against one of the cabin windows, one of the polycarbonate windows, which is radio transparent, and receives an adequate, though not perfect, signal. And hopefully at some time in the near future, I'll be able to acquire an actual Wi-Fi signal from Hillsboro, which provides a free Wi-Fi service. She understands my love of the Vision, but it's not really her take on our home environment. However, it's no problem, of course. Those sorts of differences are what makes relationships so rich.
This is my primitive shower, and it's only partially fabricated because in earlier days I needed an indoor shower, but I had much higher priorities. However, the outdoor shower was so harsh that I had to establish at least some place where I could take an indoor shower. Here's a guest lavatory, my lavatory. There's a temporary sink and a clothes washer. Kitchen area. Not much of a kitchen. I'm a nerd. I don't cook. 727 food service cart, which serves as my pantry. The microwave oven and the toaster oven are sufficient. In fact, I almost never use the toaster oven. It's almost always the microwave oven. That's my fridge, which is getting a little sparse, so I'll have to make a trip into town and load up again.
When I was a kid of perhaps about 15, my family and I were watching the news. They showed file footage of one of the boneyards. At that time in my life, I had no idea such places existed. It was amazing to me. There were aircraft parked wingtip to fuselage as tightly as they could pack them for as far as the eye could see. My jaw dropped and I thought, oh my God, that's incredible. There are thousands of them and they're just sitting there. Why can't I have one? Shortly after graduating from college, I purchased this real estate property, the 10 acres of land which my aircraft resides upon. And I paid the mortgage off quickly.
These are circuit breaker panels, and many are still active. For example, this is dome red. Once I break the circuit breaker, we lose dome red.
That was a big mistake. That was a whopper class mistake. I'll never do that again. Salvage companies are wreckers. I highly recommend just buying a jetliner completely intact and completely functional, except maybe removal of the engines. That was a mistake too. Their choice was not optimum, but it is a passenger jetliner. However, it has a little history. It's also the very last flight for the owner of the airline. Aristotle Onassis, who, as everyone knows, was married to Jacqueline Kennedy Onassis after the Kennedy assassination. And so, what you see in the forward galley now is Aristotle's ghost.
This aircraft was all tourist class. There was no business class, no first class. It was tourist from flight deck all the way to the tail. And so the few seats I've retained are tourist class seats because that's all she had.
I didn't finance anything. I don't think I could have. I don't think anybody can. The jetliner flew from Greece to Hillsborough Airport. That's about 20 kilometers from here. The engines and APU and many other elements were removed at the Hillsborough Ferry Complex, and she'll never fly again.
This is an image of the aircraft during transport.
We started at midnight from the Hillsborough Ferry Complex and then weaved our way through downtown Hillsborough with just literally centimeters to spare. But everything went smoothly.
First time here? Ah, okay. How do I say hello in Italian? I forget. Ciao. Oh, of course, ciao, ciao. Okay, everyone, slippers and roam around anywhere. And let me introduce you to some friends as well. This is Naomi-san, Naoko-san, Junko-chan, Kaori-chan over there, Taka-kun, and Sai-chan. I think Sai-chan is displaced for the moment. My friends are trying to warn you that the seats are not currently secured in their tracks. And they have no outer legs, so if you sit in an outer seat like my friends are, the row will flip.
My guests fulfill my life in very great measure. Now, I love them dearly. They're like family.
Nerd Cave. This is currently a work area for a variety of projects, some of which are simply recreational in the form of restoration of old computer systems, primarily Apple products, but also projects associated with the aircraft, for example, restoration of illumination systems. And a thermal wall so as to be able to separate the aft section from the forward section so that during the winter months I can retain a little bit more heat in the aft section. It's still very cold. You've seen this motion. The two forward wing exits are here. I use the right one a lot because I'm often interested in working or socializing on the wing. This is to keep velociraptors out. One overhead compartment which comes from another aircraft. I have two more. I'm eager to mount these, but this aircraft was not designed with mounting structure for the overhead compartments. Observer, inspector, captain, the sole authority for the flight. This person may bark out orders to any of the rest and they must obey. First officer and flight engineer. And the flight engineer station is now obsolete. The aircraft are much more refined and automated, and this position simply isn't necessary anymore. And the main entrance door is there. It's the largest access door in the aircraft. The first step is a big one. This is the main landing gear and main landing gear strut. It's inflated to very roughly 1200 psi. Only about 800 psi is necessary to support the aircraft. The rest is excess. My temporary left landing gear support structure was rotting, so I needed to support the aircraft in such a way that I could levitate the left landing gear, remove all the old material. I put a lot of it back in, but I restructured it in such a way that the rotting elements were on the outside or discarded, and rebuilt the structure. It's good physical work. It's also dangerous. You must be very careful because basically you're lifting and lowering a house, and if you make a mistake, it could kill you.
I have no regrets about pursuing this vision. It's fun. Jetliner homes are really cool. And in my experience with my guests, I do believe that humanity will embrace this vision wholeheartedly in enough proportion that we can utilize every jetliner which retires from service. The most awkward element of my life right now is that this jetliner, which I adore, is in the wrong country. It's in the wrong place for me. My dearest friends and loved ones are in Japan. I want to live in Japan or share time between Japan and New Zealand. My challenge is to execute a second project, and then hopefully a third one, and then hopefully a fourth and a fifth and a sixth and a 99th and the 999th and so on. And of course, version 2 is for Japan, and it's intended to put a home which I love in a land I love with the people I love. And then if I can simply regain my youth, everything will be fine.